We now want to hear more from the diplomatic angle of the operation, and joining us now is former ambassador to the United States, Dani Ayalon. Dani, the Palestinian Authority is expressing support for the terrorists in Jenin, but in point of fact, if the IDF operation is successful and the terrorist threat neutralized, the PA could benefit and potentially return to the city, which has been taken over by terrorist groups. I mean, is that not the case?
Well, absolutely. Actually, this operation was long overdue simply because the Palestinian Authority did not perform and actually did not live up to its commitment and its obligations many times on international obligations. So the situation was not sustainable, certainly. And the Palestinian Authority, well, they have to go through the motions. They they have to say what they think will be pleasant to their own people, but actually Israel is doing their job and also protecting them, especially from Hamas. Hamas is their sworn enemy. Hamas would like to do in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, what they did in Gaza back in 2007, where in a few hours, just in a coup, they took over and they threw out the Palestinian Authority. They would love to do the same, and the only reason they cannot do it is because of Israeli presence, security presence there.
Is there any cooperation between Israel and them? I mean, if this is really their goal?
Well, I would say that in this Jenin and Nablus area, which is the northern part of the Samaria, unfortunately, there is a total collapse of the Palestinian Authority. However, in other regions of the territories, whether it's in Ramallah area or whether it is in Bethlehem or Hebron, the cooperation there is not satisfactory, but certainly it is to a much bigger part than it is in Jenin.
Yes, and now more to the diplomatic angle. The operation in Jenin was launched on the eve of Independence Day holiday in the United States when, most governments are vacationing, a good time for things to go under the radar for a while. Do you think that had anything to do with the timing?
Well, it could have, but this certainly was not the main reason. Sometimes the timing is mostly determined by operational considerations. Of course, there is also an asset in doing it in a way that it will be palpable to the or semi-palpable to the international community. So it has maybe a certain or a small part in it, but I think mostly it is because of the operational factors.
Are we hearing any comments coming from the United States today, since the morning? I mean, last hours?
No, not yet. And well, I'm going to see the American ambassador pretty soon in an hour or two, and maybe we'll love to hear his views. But I'm sure the United States will continue with its traditional view that Israel has the right to defend itself and its population. This is something that is expected from any democratically elected government, and with the concerns that there will not be any collateral damage, as they say, and not hitting or hurting some innocent people, which Israel doesn't need any reminder of for that kind, because this is our policy from the start.
Dani, the Palestinians will certainly try to raise diplomatic pressure to end the operation in Jenin. About how long does Israel have to operate before pressures really come to bear?
Well, this depends. If the operation will continue to be clean in the sense that it's surgical, that it is hitting only Palestinian terrorists, and there won't be any casualties which are not terrorists, then I think we have a longer leash, if I can say so. In any case, the Palestinians have not yet called on the Security Council, and I expect that in a day or two, if the operation continues, we will hear the representative of the Arab League in the Security Council. Namely, today it is the United Arab Emirates, which will probably try to call for an emergency session of the Security Council. But here again, I think that we can count on an American pressure not to take any one-sided action against Israel.
We'll definitely have to wait and see. Now, the operation comes at a time when the U.S. is pretty much distracted. So is France with the rioting, and Europe, as you know, more interested in Ukraine and Russia. But the Arab world is sure to be closely watching. Can this be another damaging blow to the Abraham Accords and really potential normalization with Saudis, with others?
Well, maybe for a very short while, because the atmosphere in the streets, whether it's in Riyadh or other Arab capitals, may not be now, let's say, amenable to such gestures from Saudi or other Arab countries towards Israel, but that would be short-lived, this suspension of, let's say, coordination and talks. The long-term factors of great common interest of the Gulf countries and basically most of the Sunni moderate Arab countries is to continue cooperation in Israel on all levels: security vis-a-vis Iran, vis-a-vis terror of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the likes. And of course, in terms of technology sharing to make sure that food security, water availability, affordable energy for them is secured in the long run.
Danny, always good to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.